to meet with Holly. He came to get her back and to be her man. But Hans and his buddies fucked up the plan. And that's about when everything went sour at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die as hard as we can. No one dies harder than John McClane, even when his wife's stuck on a plane, about to crash into the Potomac River on the eve of Christmas. And airport security kicked him out, but John McClane is just too damn proud, and nothing could have made him not deliver, cause that's his business. And with a lot of fights and gunplay, he blew that plane up on the runway. And with a little help from Alan, Holly's plane could land. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die as hard as we can. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. No one dies harder than John McClane, saving all the passengers on the train. When Simon wasn't clear with his intentions, it was just a distraction. And there was no way McClane could know that Hans Gruber was Simon's bro. And that's what made it Die Hard with a vengeance, with Samuel Jackson. And the good cop wouldn't miss this, even though it wasn't Christmas. He didn't get any help from Alan, but only in part 3.
Okay, for everybody who's here, I think all one of you, it's Gene Lyons here for the INSTACAST right after American Gods. Guys, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think there was a marked improvement between season 2 and season 3. We talked on the preview about how this season might be a train wreck based on all of the stuff going on behind the scenes, and the massive delay with COVID, and also all the production issues, the change in the showrunner. And I got to say that I liked, what's up, Ash? I think it's just us, Ash. But Ash, did you watch? I don't know if you watched the episode, but I think this was, hey, Suze. I think this was a step forward for American Gods. I think I enjoyed the pacing and the way the show was run much better. In particular, I found myself like enjoying characters that I didn't enjoy in seasons past, and we'll get to that in a second. Before we get started, just a quick reminder to everybody. I think the few of you who are here already know, if you can subscribe to the Twitch stream, that's a big help and helps support the podcast. American Gods is not a moneymaker for us, so we don't make any money doing the podcast itself. So if you are a fan of American Gods or just a fan of Shat, please do subscribe. You can do that through Twitch Prime. And if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can use your Amazon Prime subscription to get a free Twitch Prime subscription that you just renew every month. It doesn't cost you anything. It's included in your Amazon Prime subscription. Also, cheering you can do as well using the little bit icon next to your chat box. Looks like a little diamond. And your cheers show us you like the work that we're doing. It's like a tip, and it also helps out as far as supporting the pod as well. And then, of course, you can use the cheers also to make sure that we see your comments. And there are channel points, a little bubble under your chat box that don't cost you anything, and you can use those as well to make sure that your message gets highlighted, or you can use it to doctor emotes, whatever you want. Ash says that the story was allowed to unfold in a natural way. They've never let it to breathe before. Suze has never seen the show, but is here to support. Thank you, Suze Mabrew. Thank you for the cheer, too. Yeah, Ash, I totally agree in that sense. So I think that they tried a lot of visual storytelling in seasons past. So it was a lot of like crazy graphics coming at you, and like everything was very stylistic and lots of slow motion. Like somebody flip a coin, and we spent 30 seconds on the coin flipping in the air, and we got elements of that in this episode.
Rehoboam.
But I think what was drastically different. Thank you, Ash, for the cheer. Was drastically different this time is that you have this cast that is actually quite good, and these characters are quite likable, but we never get to see them actually talk. And in this scene, we had this diner scene with between Mr. Wednesday and Shadow. We had the scene between Tech Boy and Bilquis. We had these scenes that really got to breathe, and even just how subdued and patient the scene was between Hinzelman and Shadow. You really let people do their work, and I think that it lends itself to a show that allows us a little bit more opportunity to digest. It does not feel like they're in a rush to get anywhere, and I really like that. Moonlit Tear is here as well, and is subscribing for the second month. Thank you so much. Ash says the narrative was planned out. Real writing happened, and that you forgot how beautiful the cast was too. Just a good-looking group. Absolutely true. Even Shadow, King B and I made fun of Shadow's like hair and beard through the promos, but he looks like Ricky Whittle looks good in this season. I think better. He looks more human. He looks more relatable. Dare I say he looks a little more exotic, and I like that too. So really, like that. I think that one other thing that they did that was kind of helpful was seeing Shadow interact with other people. Like not gods, but actually normal people. It really served to humanize him a little bit. I like that aspect of it. I actually found myself like kind of rooting for him for the first time ever. And also acknowledging real risks to people. I think that American Gods in season 1 and 2 never really addressed the fact of Shadow's race. I never really addressed the fact of what Shadow would feel like going through the world. And here we saw, if you're a person of color, you're getting dropped off in Lakeside, Wisconsin. There's two like teenage girls talking to you, and then you see a cop car roll by and you're all by yourself at night. That's a scary proposition. And I don't think they necessarily addressed those issues in the past. So I found myself really enjoying that as well. Iron Man Dad says, I'm curious because season 2 was just so out there. I wasn't sure I was going to continue. Yeah, exactly. Iron Man Dad. I totally agree that this was, and it says if Ash is in, then I'll resubscribe and give it a go. I have a much better feeling about this season than seasons past. Like I actually found myself when the episode was over, I was surprised. I was like, wow, it's over already. So that was another aspect that I like. Ash, I had a question for you. We did see some New Orleans in this episode. So Laura, we see her again. She goes back to find Baron Samedi. She couldn't find him. But she does get some advice as to how to use the gree and also, and she gets her hands on Matt Sweeney's body. And then we see her in this like lush, gigantic cemetery going into the tomb. And I was like, is this a real cemetery in New Orleans? Is this what New Orleans really, the alley looked legit. I didn't know if the cemetery was though. Ash says the human element helped. The gods were so set apart. We needed this grounded in a world that looked like our own. We haven't seen that before. Absolutely agree. Moonlit Tear just came in to say hey and resub. Never watched the show, so I'm wondering about that after I let Gino. So here's the thing, guys, is I think season 3 is pretty good, but season 1 and 2 will take some getting through. Now, the upside is that they're both very short seasons. So it's like 8 episode seasons in 1 and 2. We get 10 and 3. If you go to Stars right now, it's if you don't have Stars already, you get a 7-day free subscription, so you could rip through those episodes and see if you like it or not. And if not, then just cancel it, and then you're not out anything. But if you like it, join us. We're still doing the podcast every week. And then if you have it included, of course, obviously, I think it's worth watching if you've got it included there. Ash said, no, the cemeteries are much smaller, but you didn't mind. You wish sometimes it's what they look like. The gree was super accurate, though. Moonlit Tears saying that one Twitch watch party, because we watched The Rudy Giuliani story. Now Amazon Prime is recommending W, The Reagan Show, RFK Must Die, Michael Moore Hates America, The Kennedys, Irish Mafia. I'm so sorry, Moonlit Tear. I haven't noticed that, but I'm also using Sarah's Prime subscription and sometimes Ash's. So I'm really just fucking up their algorithms. So I don't really feel so bad. But yeah, thank you for stopping by. A couple other things that kind of brought that came to mind that I found some accuracy in the show is they showed us Milwaukee. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of black people in these scenes with Shadow. I'm like, is that really accurate? Check this shit out. So Wisconsin in 2008 was 4% black. In 2018, I believe, over one decade, it went to 9.7% black. That's a massive change. For example, for Arizona, I believe is in the neighborhood of like 6% or something like that. So another thing they're doing is really reflecting like real world, up to date scenarios there, where Shadow is in Milwaukee and feeling quite comfortable. He's found people he can relate to, not because of race necessarily, but there are people who are younger, people of color, who he can relate to. And then he finds himself going to a more rural area of Wisconsin, and there is that fear that sets in. I think that was a really, really very intelligent way of addressing some contemporary issues, like the fact that states like Wisconsin are shifting in their demographics without like making a big to-do about it and distracting us from the narrative itself. Ash, I don't know what B thought. I don't know if he's seen it yet. I did give him the login, so I don't know if he's watched it yet. When I called him, he was just waking up from a nap, so we'll see. A couple of the things that I found was interesting was, we saw Laura give up the coin out of her gut to attempt to resurrect Sweeney, and we saw her like absolutely dissolve. And I'm like, shit, is that the end of Emily Browning on this show? I can't believe that it is based on some of the trailers and stuff we've seen, but also I wasn't like too sad about it. Of all the people who came back, let's do a ranking here. Actually, let's do a poll real quick. Is which character did you like seeing back the most? And I know I do this at my own parallel because there are only 5 viewers, but which character return was best? And we'll go Shadow, Wednesday, Laura, Tech Boy, Bilquist, right? We didn't really get to see that much of Mr. World, so let's go with those characters there. Just curious what everybody felt. So the poll is up now in the chat. You can go ahead and vote on which character return you thought was best. I'm really curious because I was very partial to Tech Boy. I don't know what happened, but I think his name is Bruce Langley, I think. He's like he was quirky enough in past seasons where he was enjoyable, but I was like kind of really into him. He's like charming, sort of fun. I'm not really sure how people felt about it. Maybe it was just me being excited to be back to the show. I'm not sure. So get your votes in there. Ash says, I have so much to say about this episode. I think the conversation about an aging megalomaniac who is super charming but also determined to kill and war makes for a really interesting parable as our own power dynamics as a country. I didn't really think about that, Ash, really relating it to the real world here. But it is... I think you should write in, Ash. It also is was very interesting to me that they also let Wednesday be kind of his gross, grimy self, right? Where there is a charm to him, as you can absolutely see, where Cordelia, his new, fiance or whatever, you get why his rakishness might be like attractive to her. And that megalomania, as you saw him being worshipped. Also, by the way, Ash, we got to see Marilyn Manson in this episode. I'm sure you're excited about that. But it was super, super cool to also see him being that like gross old man in the diner, just like slopping up food and just being very human. I keep saying that. Yeah, totally agree with you, Ash, on that. There were even parts where I laughed on this episode. I think one of my favorites is when Wednesday reappeared in Milwaukee and Shadow responded with a motherfucking, and Wednesday replied as charged. If you guys know the story, it's pretty funny. If you don't, that's okay. Ash's reviews are really positive for this season. I think the space and time are going to serve them well. You thought Manson looked great? I thought he looked real bad, but I'm glad. I actually thought it was kind of cool that he allowed himself to not be a glamorous character. That he was kind of like, he looked like kind of a, mid-rate metal singer to me. I don't know. But yes, Ash, I never watched Sons of Anarchy, but I thought that he was pretty funny with his cameo in Eastbound and Down. And I don't know why I got it in my head that Marilyn Manson was on American Horror Story. He was not. Lady Gaga was, but Manson was. I don't know why I got it there. But Ash, you're not over commenting. There's there's 6 of us in here, so you're all right. Oh, okay. He looked great in the sense that in the role he looked great, not like he looked like hot. Okay, I got it. Yeah, so a couple of things before we close out. Again, these streams will be about 15 minutes ish long. We will be putting out the deep dive every Wednesday, and that'll include listener mail. So as Ash mentioned, if you want to write in, host@shadowntv.com, let us know what you thought of the episode. You can also call in at 914-719-SHAT, leave us a voicemail, and that might get on the episode as well. Let's see. Fool on the Hill says, I did not see the episode yet, but I love what you guys do. Want to show support. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, we're glad to have you. And listen, again, this is just an instant reaction. So if you can't make this, like you don't want to spoil anything about the episode, you can always watch it as well. And then just go join us right here. Thanks for the cheer. You can always pop onto Twitch and find that week's episode on here, and then also on YouTube we'll repost them there as well. So if you want to watch the Instacast after watching the episode on your own time, that's totally cool. And then we put out the deep dive on Wednesday. So the King B and I will record that tomorrow night for a release on Wednesday after we do some research. So it looks like Tech Boy was the most popular return. Glad Ash and I agreed on that. And also, did you guys notice, like, if you watch the episode, the scene where Miss World does the the old God, what movie was it? Was it Casino? Was it Casino with the headband? No. Was it Goodfellas? Goodfellas, yeah. Anyway, the head bash, the baseball bat. The guy who got his head bashed in, while I was watching the scene, I was like, that guy really needs to get his face was really fucking hateable. And I just wonder about like getting an acting role where basically you're just there to be annoying. And I thought that he did an excellent job of being annoying. I wasn't totally sold. If I have to get picky on things, I don't think that Dominic Jackson was didn't feel fully invested in the script the way other people did. I think that, and that might be a result of being a new character on the show or new cast member. And that I really felt like the other characters had worn into their characters. Like Bilquist felt very lived in, very real. Mr. Wednesday felt very lived in, very real. Even Laura felt like that was Laura Moon. Like we really felt that way. And I think that Dominic Jackson maybe either hasn't had time to settle into the character yet, or was asked to do something slightly out of range. I thought that the using the bat as a prop and stuff like that, it just felt a little whatever. By the way, I forgot to mention, Instacast is where our personal opinions come out. Deep Dive is where we do the research and stuff like that. So I'm going to take great pleasure in being able to share my Goodfellas. Thank you. Pleasure in being able to share my opinion. Oh, okay. So a couple of things before we close out. I did notice a couple technical things that were really cool that I want to definitely bring up for the deep dive. So if there are things that you want us to get into, please put that in the chat. One thing was the screen format changing when they went to the backstage. So if you're not really familiar with American Gods, the backstage is kind of where gods can travel, meet, and everything. It's kind of like if you're looking at the world as the stage and the gods can occupy the backstage. It's kind of this magical, realm that's behind everything. And you notice that the screen format actually changes when they go to the backstage, which I think will be very helpful when we, as we go forward in the show, to watch for that, to see where we are. Another thing was all sorts of things, fun things to research, like the night carrier. I want to definitely look into that. I thought that was funny too, where Wednesday was like, "Hey, we're gonna go meet up with the night carrier." What, you don't want to do that? I was like, "Yeah, I'd fucking want to go see the night carrier." Also, the 3 figures that Whiskey Jack shows to guide Shadow. I looked very closely to try to figure out who they were. I don't think anybody we've seen before, but the term is Nameku, which is Thunderbird in Menominee, which is a tribe in Wisconsin. So Shadow's being told to follow the Thunderbird. So I'm going to do a little research into that as well. Being an Arizonan, actually, we have we're raised with Thunderbird lore, so it's not a ton of research that I have to do on my part, but just kind of to fill people in on the lore of Thunderbirds and why they're more than just a car. And then also, again, getting into the performance. I'm sorry, getting into some of the new characters like Hinzelman, who I thought was immediately just so charming, and even Chad Mulligan, I thought was a really interesting character. Ash, I know you're a big fan of Marge in Fargo, and that's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting from Lakeside. So I really hope that we get this dark Fargo-like atmosphere and tale. So anyway, guys, that's about it for the InstaCast. Can't believe 20 minutes already have gone by. So stay tuned. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast, American Gods. You can just look it up as American Gods from Shadow Entertainment. It'll be right there. And then Ash and I will be back here on, and then King Bean and I will be here on Wednesday night for the Expanse watch party at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then we'll be back here for Shappy Hour, which is our cocktail party at 9 o'clock on Friday, 9 o'clock Eastern. And as a note on that, too, we had a really great time having a dance party after the Shappy Hour this week, so we're going to do that again. Iron Man Dad, 100-bit cheer for me being solo. I think this was kind of the planned thing, right? Was that I was going to do this solo. So please don't think that King B abandoned me or anything like that. He's on for the podcast. I was the one who signed up to do this, but he might jump on sometimes. We might have Ash on as well for instant reactions. Thank you. Is it Tearing Future or Tearing Future 699? Let me know. I don't know how you would let me know in chat, but let me know. Susan Brew, thank you for the cheer as well. Ash says, as a topic, the way we replace churches and worshiping with countercultures that we worship, like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, the Gaussian. It's very, very interesting. And in fact, it's funny because there were several points made in this with, I think, more coherently than ever before about that trade-off, right? In fact, Mr. Wednesday said, what was his line? That new gods have made it easier for man to indulge in his most destructive impulses. One of the things is that older gods, they required a degree of subservience and a degree of sacrifice by people. But when you think about it, that sacrifice was being made to the god wasn't self-serving at its core, right? And that might have actually been a way to prevent us from indulging in our worst instincts. Whereas new gods, right, our new addictions, whether it be, commercialism or whatever else, if that is a negative thing, or as Ash mentioned, it might be benign, right? It might be that our worship of Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, is just finding those same values and same power in a different canon, right? In a different lore. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, if you guys are interested in the preview for this episode or for this season, which is still relevant even after episode 1 is in, it is out right now on the American Gods pod, and King B is on it with me, and he's up to his old tricks. All right, guys, gonna wrap it up here. I am going to get to work on research and eat something. And then we will be back here, and then the pod will be out on Wednesday, and we'll be back here for a watch party Wednesday night, 9 p.m. for The Expanse Season 5. If you haven't watched The Expanse, definitely check it out. It's free on Amazon Prime Video. So, So join us then. All right, guys, thank you so much for your cheers and just showing up and hanging out and subscribing. Really, really appreciate all your support. Again, as a reminder, if you have not already subscribed, you can do that through Twitch Prime. That'll go on your credit card. But if you have Amazon Prime, you can go ahead and use that to... Did I make a thing for this? I don't remember. I didn't. Okay. If you have Amazon Prime, you can use that to actually... Your Twitch Prime is included in that. So it doesn't cost you anything. You need to hook the two up, and then it's just included. So that helps us out and doesn't cost you anything. Super, super cool. Oh, there you go. Thanks for the Discord share, Ash. So see you guys. Thanks so much, Ash. Thanks for showing up. Everybody else who attended, really, really appreciate you guys. And look at Ash just ripping away there. Ash, I hope the rest of your weekend went really well and that you're not hungover anymore. And sorry if I had a hand in your drunkenness and your hangover. I feel really good this weekend, but I just stuck to whiskey and beer. Kept it clean. All right, bye everybody. Good night.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower to meet with Holly. He came to get her back and to be her man, but Hans and his buddies fucked up the plan, and that's about when everything went sour at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed